Welcome to the 118th episode of the Daily Henry George Daily Devotional. We are in Chapter 10, The Law of Human Progress. That's Book 10. Chapter 5, The Central Truth. We are reading Progress and Poverty, an Inquiry into the Cause of Industrial Depressions and Increase of Want with Increase of Wealth, the Remedy. Little Children Joy, that's where we have a conclusion after we finish this chapter. Maybe two conclusions. I don't know. Alright, George writes, civilization so based cannot continue. The eternal laws of the universe forbid it. Ruins of dead empires testify, and the witness that is in every soul answers that it cannot be. It is something grander than benevolence, something more august than charity. I think we did read this paragraph, but it is justice herself that demands us to right this wrong, justice that will not be denied, that cannot be put off, justice that with the scales carries the sword. Shall we ward the stroke with liturgies and prayers? Shall we avert the decrees of immutable laws by raising churches when hungry infants moan and weary mothers weep? Though it may take the language of prayer, it is blasphemy that attributes to the inscrutable decrees of Providence the suffering and brutishness that come of poverty, that turns with folded hands to the All-Father and lays on him the responsibility for the want and crime of our great cities. We degrade the everlasting, we slander the just one. A merciful man would have better ordered the world. A just man would crush with his foot such an ulcerous anthill. It is not the Almighty, but we who are responsible for the vice and misery that fester amid our civilization. The Creator showers upon us his gifts, more than enough for all. But like swine scrambling for food, we tread them in the mire while we tear and rend each other. In the very centers of our civilization today are want and suffering enough to make sick at heart whoever does not close his eyes and steel his nerves. Dare we turn to the Creator and ask him to relieve it, supposing the prayers were heard? And at the behest with which the universe sprang into being, there should glow in the sun a greater power, new virtue fill the air, fresh vigor the soil, that for every blade of grass that now grows two should spring up, and the seed that now increases 50-fold should increase 100-fold. Would poverty be abated or want relieved? Manifestly no. Whatever benefit would accrue would be but temporary. The new powers streaming through the material universe could be utilized only through land, and land being private property, the classes that now monopolize the bounty of the Creator would monopolize all the new bounty. Landowners would alone be benefited. Rents would increase, but wages would still tend to the starvation point. This is not it's funny. For a long time, after reading Progress and Poverty, I struggled with understanding why George wasn't more popular and why Georgism had been in some sense for a long time I said it was like stalled, or the effects weren't as felt as sharply as George thought because we invented the car. And I didn't realize that this was somewhat principally, or the idea that the car could could stall or fight against the forces that George describes lends, like, if you believe that, then you sort of believe that there are inventions and devices that can alleviate this. And I do think there was an alleviation. However, I think it came because the government spent so much money on car infrastructure. So, in some sense, that was an improvement for all of society. But the clever listeners just heard me say all of society and said no, it's for all of car owning society. And so uh, the car alone did not have any effect other than to increase the value of all of the land near a city and to enable more speculation. Anyway, this is not merely a deduction of political economy. It is a fact of experience. We know it because we have seen it within our own times, under our very eyes. That power which is above all and in all and through all, that power of which the whole universe is but the manifestation, that power which maketh all things, and without which is not anything made that is made, has increased the bounty which men may enjoy as truly as though the fertility of nature had been increased. Into the mind of one came the thought that harnessed steam for the service of mankind. To the inner ear of another was whispered the secret that compels the lightning to bear a message round the globe. In every direction have the laws of matter been revealed. In every department of industry have arisen arms of iron and fingers of steel, whose effect upon the production of wealth has been precisely the same as an increase in the fertility of nature. What has been the result? Simply that landowners get all the gain. The wonderful discoveries and inventions of our century have neither increased wages nor lightened toil. This effect has simply been to make the few richer, the many more helpless. Can it be that yeah, I don't know, you think now about all the tech companies, you're like, oh, anyone could have done that. Uh, uh, the reason I think of the tech companies, he's talking about all of these incredible improvements to industry and the Industrial Revolution, and that the gain went to all of the landlords. It is sort of hard to say that the reason Zuckerberg, Bezos, Musk became so wealthy was because of their landlordship. However, however, um, I believe the overwhelming majority of billionaires are hedge fund managers or just family money, and I think the source of most of that wealth is from land ownership. Can it be that the gifts of the Creator may thus misappropriated with impunity? I do think that big tech has under underneath it as with all big business, uh, there are effects from being able to hire wage slaves, and then with big tech, there's also, of course, a number of artificial monopolies that are involved with patents or copyright, and then there's also regulatory capture, which is always a weird term to me. Who's capturing whom? But regulation makes it hard to compete with the entrenched businesses. Is it a light thing that labor should be robbed of its earnings, while greed rolls in wealth, that the many should want, while the few are surfeited? Turn to history, and on every page may be read the lesson that such wrong never goes unpunished. Look, the nemesis that follows injustice never falters nor sleeps. Look around today. I feel like I just read look twice, but I don't see how I messed that up. Turn to history, and on every page may be read the lesson that such wrong never goes unpunished. That the nemesis that follows injustice never falters nor sleeps. Look around today. Can this state of things continue? May we even say, after us the deluge? Nay, the pillars of the state are trembling even now, and the very foundations of society begin to quiver with pent-up forces that glow underneath. The struggle that must either revivify or convulse in ruin is near at hand if it be not already begun. The fiat has gone forth. With steam and electricity and the new powers born of progress, forces have entered the world that will either compel us to a higher plane or overwhelm us, as nation after nation, as civilization after civilization have been overwhelmed before. It is the delusion which precedes destruction that sees in the popular unrest with which the civilized world is feverishly pulsing only the passing effect of ephemeral causes. The delusion which precedes destruction. Between democratic ideas and the aristocratic adjustments of society, there is an irreconcilable conflict. Here in the United States, as there in Europe, it may be seen arising. We cannot go on permitting men to vote and forcing them to tramp. We cannot go on educating boys and girls in our public schools and then refusing them the right to earn an honest living. We cannot go on prating of the inalienable rights of man and then denying the inalienable right to the bounty of the Creator. Even now in old bottles the new wine begins to ferment, and elemental forces gather for the strife. But if, while there is yet time, we turn to justice and obey her, if we trust liberty and follow her, the dangers that now threaten must disappear. The forces that now menace will turn to agencies of elevation. Think of the powers now wasted, of the infinite fields of knowledge yet to be explored, of the possibilities of which the wondrous inventions of this century give us but a hint. He's right about all that. With want destroyed, with greed changed to noble passions, with the fraternity that is born of equality taking the place of the jealousy and fear that now array men against each other, with mental power loosed by conditions that give to the humblest comfort and leisure, and who shall measure the heights to which our civilization may soar? Words fail the thought. It is the golden age of which poets have sung, and high-raised seers have told in metaphor. It is the glorious vision which has always haunted man with gleams of fitful splendor. It is what he saw, whose eyes at Patmos were closed in a trance. It is the culmination of Christianity, the city of God on earth, with its walls of jasper and its gates of pearl. It is the reign of the Prince of Peace. We've now reached the conclusion. Yeah, there is this other argument that George was right in all his doomsdaying. It's he was right that that's where we could be at right now. We have so mastered um, the elements. Um, it is absolutely wild, the magic, the science that we have discovered as a species. The tech path, the tech tree we have unlocked. And yet, and yet so many of us live in fear of losing their home or food or health. Um, and George just might have been wrong in saying that it was this dilemma of either a complete relapse or ascending these heights. We just needed to have a couple world wars. We needed some awkward taxation laws that retard the progress, but also let us sort of uh, patch up the wage slave damage, the, the poverty, the want, and the fear of want. Anyway, this is the final conclusion. There it is. And we hit the footnotes. All right. And so, in thrilling conclusion, I think we just go for the conclusion tomorrow. One final um, Henry George daily devotional. Oh, I haven't been updating the link. All right, all right. Recording is finished. See you tomorrow. could be living in paradise. This is where George gets called a, this is why George gets called a panacea monger. He claims we have mastered the secrets of earth and that we ought to be living in glory. I don't disagree. New episode. I guess we'll do it in 119 episodes. Now, no. 118. I was wondering if we'd hit 120. YouTube. Mm, Oops. Alright, we're done. Hmm. Uh, yeah, I'm not. Oh, I got 120 likes. I knew I had over 100. I don't know how many people just liked this and didn't see the invitation to come to the meetup, but it's okay.